Hey, welcome everybody to Friday Night at the Crib. Seems that we're having a little bit of technical issues bringing people in from YouTube. I put in a second Hangout link. Seems that people are coming in and they're already muted and they can't unmute themselves. Not sure. This is the first time we've run into this one. And Borg seems to be having that problem, and so does Toxic. But the Borg, the talk settings are all the way up at the top. If you scroll over the screen, you will see a microphone up at the top. Once you scroll over that, not sure. But let's keep on moving on. I'm not sure. Google Hangouts has been a little bit wonky ever since the person that ran Google Hangouts left and went to Facebook. And the changes seem to it seems to change every week or every couple of weeks what the issues are. So I'll go ahead and start introduce everybody from left to right. It's Grimace.
What's up, everybody?
By the way, Prince.
Hello.
And this is Hefe. And again, hopefully everybody can join us in a couple of minutes. And we're going to talk VXP Weekend. We're going to go over the raid, hopefully relatively quickly. Then we're going to start talking about the longstanding issue with the player versus player base hitting part of the game that they seem to have broken about a month ago. They broke it really hard a month ago. It's been a little bit off. It's been off for quite a while. But does anybody have anything they want to start with? Because we're going to start, when we start the slides, we're going to start with VXP Weekend. No? Okay. Well, Grimace, if you want to start the slides, I'll put you on present and we can start talking VXP Weekend.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. Oh, you're not. It's not showing that you're sharing the slides.
All righty then. Let's try this again.
So.
Looks like Toxic just came in. Oh, still no mic.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there.
I see slides.
Yep. I see slides. Okay, VXP Weekend is very similar to last VXP Weekend. The big difference that we're seeing, if you could click one more, Grimace. Well, this is, well, click it one more time. Okay, there we go. On the right-hand side, you see that it's requiring 120,000 VXP to rank the Mankara up to, or make Makara up to Scald. The previous flagships that we've gotten have been at 75K. So it's a pretty significant increase for no reason that I can particularly tell. Some people have said because we only have one fleet to rank, and I'm like, yeah, I got one bridge to sell you. And the on the left-hand side, that is how much damage that you are. If you're just doing damage and have a triple salty, you're able to generate 11K. If you generate enough damage that you reach the cap and you also die, you will be getting 22K per encounter. But if you're only doing damage, or you're only doing taking damage, it's going to take 11 hits to get this thing scalded. If you're able to do both, you're at 5.5 hits to rank. So it's
ridiculous.
Well, it just doesn't seem. I don't understand the reason. I posted on the TSC some of the older ships like the Hydra, the Buccaneer, went back to the Gutsbill Phoenix, all the flags for those, and it was 75K, and all of a sudden we get this bump to 120. It's not like anything has changed in the game significantly that we would need such a large bump.
Trying to force people to be like, oh my gosh, I got to get it to 75%. How am I going to do that? Oh, I guess I need a coin. It's just that same stuff again.
It's probably it's just such a great hull that they felt like
yeah,
it's gonna make the raid so much better that it was worth it.
Yeah, we've also seen the same percentage jump on the normal mana core. So it's, I agree. It's going along with the whole thing that we've seen with the FM and we saw in the last raid, where they're definitely not, they're definitely upping the difficulty or whatever word. I'm not sure what word you might want to use, but they're upping the potential of a coin on every aspect of the game that's recently been introduced. So,
yep.
Alrighty. I guess we can go on unless anybody has any tips or tricks for VXP Weekend.
I haven't started, so.
Okay. Oh, yeah. And the other thing I wanted to mention on the last one is we discussed it on the Wednesday show. If you tank with a missile storm cruiser or some other tier 7 conqueror, that's how I did the one on the left. I was able to do it damage free, allowing those to tank for me because the repair time relative to the armor is a world of difference. And as opposed to taking 3 hours of damage because you're taking a half an hour damage, and lets you get back on the water with your same salty crew. So, yeah, and VXP just die does not make sense there, John. It's you're only getting half of what you could be getting. So we can move on to we've got more news on why not news on why the resistors were dropped. One more click. But the fact that everything assault related was dropped, including the resistors, which I don't quite understand if that was intentional or it was just a oversight.
I don't have enough for my fleet anyway, so I missed one or two.
Yeah, you missed two. And Father George, Earth, how are you guys doing?
Is this thing working? Because I'm on the phone and I don't know if I got this right.
You got
it. You're working.
So the resistors, I understand they want to put them in next week and all, but that kind of screws anybody that was trying to pull out the flagship real quick, because now we're trying to go into these targets with no damn engine. I already have to refit one of the Manticores because I didn't have them for the raid, and now I'm 2 weeks behind. So I got to refit one already, and then I'm going into VXP Weekend with a hull that has no fucking engine.
Yeah, that's not good because I didn't have the tokens to refit mine, so I had speed 6 on them before, so I was able to put a resistor on it at this point in time. So I didn't have that issue just because during the raid I had speed 6 and I didn't have the resistors on them. So yeah, I got lucky or unlucky. I'm not certain, but yeah, it's the thing that's sort of disturbing. It's we can't tell if it's a mistake or not. There's a lot of things that are going on that you can't tell if they're a mistake. People think like, okay, well, maybe the upping of the FM damage was a mistake until they just didn't say anything and never replied to it.
Yeah, communication has got to open up. I mean, this is not a simple game where you just go in and click. It's not like freaking Donkey Kong. Hey, climb the ladder, fucking kill the ape, and you're done, right? You got to know all this stuff because it affects everything from your builds to decisions to everything. And if you make a bad decision in this game, especially with builds, you're kind of screwed. You get put behind the 8 ball right away.
Very true. Yeah, and the fact that they, they dropped it. I guess they don't need to tell us on this if it's intentional. But then we had the fact they don't communicate, and it's not like they don't screw up all the time. So we don't know which is which. And like we had the siege transition attempt to occur earlier this week, and we didn't know if that walking in, we didn't know because they're not flawless if that was a mistake or that was an intentional, that they were just melting your face as soon as you went into the targets.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Without any communication, it just looks like incompetence. But whether that's the case or not, it remains to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, nobody knows because they refuse to tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no talking. First rule of Kixeye is don't talk about Kixeye.
Yes. Alrighty. George, did you have any tips or tricks? I'm not sure if you caught the portion of the show when we were talking about VXP Weekend.
No, man, I have like I think another half an hour left before mine is out from refitting another gun on it to try and maximize my VXP, because I don't know. I did notice though that the damn hull needs how much for VXP?
120K versus 75.
Is it a Conqueror hull all of a sudden? Did I miss something?
They upped the base mana cores. I think they went from like 50 to 90 or something of that nature.
I mean, can I hit bases with these things now? What the fuck?
You can try. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
I mean, hell.
Your repair is going to be nice and long if you do.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice and long if I try and get VXP too.
It'll only work if you use a full fleet though. Just
that's what it is.
Yeah, the flagship will really help you in this hitting bases at this point. All right. I guess we're done with this one. If we want to click one more, Grims. Okay. Now, does anybody want to discuss the raid now that it's over? We had this Friday talk during the raid on Friday when it started on Thursday, and I think had the changes gone in where they reduced the damage? No, they had. They'd reduced the damage by about 20% before the show.
They reduced the damage by about a second.
Yeah, it was about 20%. And for my end, unless I was doing something different, it was about a 20% reduction for me, which everybody agreed was not enough. Yeah, unless they really plan to change the way we think about the raids. And with the way things have been introduced, the way we think about all PvE parts of the game, because we have the FM, and the FM has been a huge change over the previous FM. And then we have this raid, and then who knows what the hell's going to happen with these, the new base part targets. I mean, after what we saw, did they not test these at all? Or was this like, okay?
Well, here's
halfly pointless because we'll all have everything upgraded soon anyway, by the end of the week probably.
Here's for the raid. Here's the thing, right? If they looked at it and went, "Oh yeah, it's too much damage," and then only reduced it at 20%, at that point, we've just got to stop and think to ourselves, what exactly is going on? Because even if it was tested and regardless of the input, Kixeye obviously wanted the damn damage at that area, and that is completely unacceptable, especially when the auto hull is not autoing.
Yeah, it was not. I didn't go ahead, Irf.
When you're running 4 legendary ranked, fully built out and armored new ships like the Manticore, and you're running a Grease Monkey and you send it in on auto and it's still costing you 7 coins, that's not acceptable at all.
Yeah. And look, and the thing is, because I've had a lot of people send me messages going, "Oh, they never said it was an auto hull and da 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 da." If you look at the release notes or for the raid or whatever the hell it is, I found it the other night. It actually says it's an auto-friendly target for the first build. That's kind of clear enough for me. It's an auto build. We all know what it's supposed to be. Playing semantics is not going to change the fact that raid was way the hell too punitive.
Well, and we also lost, the ability from the previous raid cycle of healing our ships, which helped a lot with the buggies.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, I like the
Mm,
buggies. These not so much. Of course, I only have 2 built, so I don't know.
I've got 4 built and I've just got the flag ranked now. But you know, it's so now I've just put it into refit now to get it all specced out, and it's 13 days
Mm-hmm.
to spec it out. And I had 1 weapon and a CIC on it before I ranked it. So
And then the question then becomes, do we refit to the missile hull because of the damage that we saw on the scattergun hull? Because we would drive.
or they can flip it around the other way.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, we drove it like it was a damn skill hull, but with no benefit. And then do we build Acades instead? Because those did well, or is that going to get jacked next month too? Because if I start Acades and I get it out, squeezed out, and it doesn't do shit, I'm gonna be pissed. Like I will.
If you don't build it, it'll work. If you build it, it won't work.
Yeah, that's what
The other thing as well is that that's some ranking to do with the KDs. That's a hell of a lot of ranking to do with the KDs.
Yeah, those ships. What's
You
the
don't really need, but you don't really need it if you've already built the full man, right? You don't need the KDs to be ranked because you're going to sit behind it and let the drones tank the damage while you're killing stuff.
Well, that's true.
You know what I mean? But the thing is we have zero communication about this. We have no idea what's coming up. We're already a week past the raid, so that leaves us, what, 2 more weeks before a raid? And then what do? I mean, we've no idea what the hell's going to work or not. We have no idea if what we saw in the raid is supposed to be what we're going to see going forward. I mean, we don't know shit.
I think they'll probably drop the damage. I'm going ahead with a auto build because every time I've built the skill hull, I've hated it because then when the targets come out that are for resources that you have to hit continually, time and time again, I want to kill myself. So
yep,
rather than sharpen my knife, I'm just going to build the auto hull and just tough it out.
I see. I still think all that's unacceptable. I think we need some direction from Kixeye because the game is not a simple game. It is, it's a complex game now, and you can't just leave everybody in the dark. We're not fucking mushrooms, because if this keeps up, no one's going to want to play because you're not going to know what the hell to do week after week because it's not like we're limited in what we can actually build. It's not like you can bring a dreadnought in the damn targets if you have a crazy ass build for that. You're limited to what you can bring into these targets. You're limited what you can put on these builds. I mean, if you're going to do that, you got to tell us what the fuck works then or what's not going to work. At least what's not going to work.
Or even give us the ability to test it because, before this raid, there was no ability to test these targets.
I would like to
Go ahead.
I would like to see open preview servers again. Even if it's like every other month, just open some damn preview servers up to the general public so that we can see what the hell's going on. Because man, something's got to give here.
Didn't they used to put them on the map? Target like early? Like that would be a better way of doing it. Then it's not just limited to people that may or may not be able to discuss it.
Or 200 people. Yeah. They used to put them on the map, like you would get, like I threw out the possibility. Okay, well, you can get Katie's shards if we threw these things out there. Like 1 in 20 would drop one, but we may not be doing it to get a advantage as far as technology or resources, but we may just use it as a knowledge base type of thing to understand the target better.
If you chucked them out and just offered just 2,500 VXP token for assault class ships,
okay,
for completing the target, people will hit it, and then you're doing 2 things at once, and
yeah, or just offer like straight titanium or whatever. Just offer.
Let's be honest. They don't have to put shit in it, and we'd still hit them because we'd want to know. The thing is they'd be out there for knowledge. I don't give a crap if they don't give me anything. I want to at least go in and test the damn things.
Oh no, but what I'm saying is, if if they do that and just put in just like a 2,500 VXP token in it, the coiners who like to spend money on everything will coin it.
Well, the corners that want to figure out how to do the game, how to hit the raid target, how to build correctly, will do
Well,
it
not
anyway.
even that. Just the ones that just like to spend money for no reason.
But they also the target would also have to be something that's not going to be changed significantly between the time that they put it out like that and then they do the final version. Because they've done that before too, where we've gone into an open preview, we've hit targets, and then like given information to people based on what we saw, and then by the time the target came out, it was significantly changed.
And I think that's one of the reasons why they have just closed ones now. But at the same point, we're all big boys and girls. You can start the preview or open when you click the target to start it. You have a splash screen with a huge, massive caution. This is not the final version. You know what I mean? Like something, but to just go, no one's going to see crap because you guys keep on crapping and moaning because things have changed. I mean, well, the people that complain that things have changed from a preview to the actual game, just ignore them because that's asinine.
Well, I can go find some tape of you doing that, George. But why don't we go one step?
Oh no, you can find tape of me saying something about changing like the gridiron 2 days before the raid because I didn't like the shit that I had done. That's fine. I'll bitch about that every single time.
Okay. Yeah. I was just thinking.
That was changing the mechanic. What? Which one?
No. That's what I was. I was thinking of things like that where you're like, they changed it. After I told everybody, which pissed you off. But you said to ignore those people.
No,
I found it amusing.
But Hefe, they didn't change a target. They changed a mechanic of something they had already released into the game. It was already live. They just didn't like what they saw how it was being used, and then changed it. And they went through a month and a half going, it works just like Wake Tactical. It works just like Wake Tactical. Oh no, wait a minute, no, it doesn't. We're changing our minds. That's bullshit. 2 days before the raid.
Yeah. And speaking of changes in like the mechanics of the game, I haven't tried, and I don't have a lot of information on this, but a lot of people have been saying that during the raid, the sprint countermeasure far outperformed the phalanx. And I don't know why. On the left-hand side is just the stat block from a blank mana core, which provides plus 10% anti-missile range and plus 25 anti-missile accuracy. So the assumption would be to use the phalanx or the switchblade, because those are both I assume at this point, we'll get the QA team on that. The anti-missile and anti-penetrating are the same thing at this point in time. That could be the reason why it's not working the way it should be, because the anti-missile is not anti-penetrating, even though there's logically no reason to think it's not. Just with the bare hull, that boosts the accuracy of the phalanx anti-missile up to 75%, which exceeds that of the sprint countermeasure. Does anybody have a lot of experience with the sprint versus the phalanx in these raid targets? And why is this happening? Why is the sprint, if it is in fact vastly outperforming the phalanx?
I actually did not get a chance to test it because I was so just disgusted with the raid. I refused to do my regular testing. I did see someone mention though that what they had done was put sprints on one hull with a CM special, so it had like a much larger range, and the phalanx on another one. And what was happening, I guess, one was better at shooting the turret missiles than the other, and the way it wasn't clear to me what was going on, but there was some combination that worked great, and I still don't know what the hell it is. I'd like to though. But I did know, and the thing is, I don't know if I think it just might be CMs are funky entirely because, I ran a couple of targets in the FM, and in the past, the mortars would get shot down, and if you're moving, you usually shoot down the mortars that are closest to you, and the ones that are falling near the edge of your CM range are the ones that land in the water and hit, right? And bit of splash damage or whatever. If you're standing still, it's the same thing. The ones further away, the ones that land, and the ones closer to you usually get killed. Today I was watching it, and I was shooting. They was just shooting randomly, but as the mortar started getting closer, the ones closest to me would hit while I was still shooting at the ones furthest away, and I was taking extra damage just because of that. So I had to change the way I drove because I was taking damage I shouldn't have been. So I don't know if CMs are fucked up again. I don't know what the hell's going on, but we sure can't ask anywhere because, that would require communication.
Yeah, they're not. That hasn't been their strong suit recently. So if nobody has a solution for this, well, I guess we can move on because,
well, has anybody else heard from anybody in their alliance or anything of any testing that actually was done?
I heard some people were saying they were saying, oh, I took 2 hours less damage when I took the countermeasure loader off, which makes absolutely no sense.
Special?
Yeah, the special. So they were like, I took less damage without it.
What the
and
heck?
I was shooting down more stuff. Now, again, you can't argue with I took less damage, but why would that work? I don't know.
What did they replace it with?
That makes no sense.
That's what I can't remember at this time.
Okay.
What did they replace it with? Can't remember. I get on and
Okay.
ask maybe. Let me see.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello.
Oh, good.
Nope,
I'm on the iPad. I hope I don't feedback. Now, I only had 2 of the Manicores, and I found that in the 80s, I could shoot down half or roughly half the missiles that are coming in. But in the 100, it shot down all of them. Not all the time, but every now and then. So I don't know. It's just totally random, or got no idea if the 2 different.
What are you using?
Manicores and a phalanx on each manicore. Phalanx 4. And I've got the whatever it is, the number 4. I can't think of the name now.
Countermeasure 4 loaders 4.
Countermeasure loaders. Yeah.
Yeah, countermeasure loaders number 4. Yeah, that's what I got in mind.
I had put I wasn't shooting down shit, and I had 3 phalanx on one hull with frontline countermeasure, and I was not happy. But I sure as shit wasn't refitting the damn thing again.
Yeah, I mean, if people are making the jump that the scatter guns that they're taking less damage, I mean, maybe the sprint is also countering scatter guns. I don't know.
Ooh, that'd be weird.
I mean, it's the only thing that seems to make sense. If the blueprints, well, that requires
It
that
does.
the blueprint's wrong.
It counters the scatter guns in Drakuri bases, doesn't it? The big scatter guns at the end, it shoots those down.
Okay, I don't know.
Well, it does if you actually look at it. If you send a Bucky in there, I know everybody does it on auto, but if you actually send a Bucky in there and you actually watch it, when it gets to the big scatter gun, you'll see the scatter gun fire at you, and then it explodes in midair as the sprint takes it out.
That could be the glitch, like with the executioners, where they're disappearing about an inch above your boat, and it looks like they're being shot down. I don't know though. I haven't seen what you're talking about to compare.
But remember on the Zelos that if you put a Phalanx 4 on it, it would totally ruin everything. Maybe there is some sort of a mechanism on there as well that's not quite right, and it's not working properly because of that.
Yeah, well, that was also the duality countermeasure issue. Yeah, it's difficult to tell what's going on at this point, and that's part of the issue with communication that I was trying to get at. That right now there's people that have Katie's and okay, well, I don't need to build these things. I can just run A-sets with my Katie's all day long, and I'm cool. Are they going to change that? We don't know. Are they going to make some change to the countermeasures to make?
Remember back when I think it was the Scourge, right? Was it the Scourge, right? Or when the Gauss Crawler was doing so well, and then it wasn't doing so well a little bit later on. So I'm thinking there's something like that coming. I hope not, but that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying that there's a lack of. I understand that, and I think it's a lack. They could put some sort of countermeasure into you know, into all these ships and turret ships, and that would, negate a lot of the effectiveness of the Cadies. But the issue is they're not communicating that, so they're providing us no information prior to the raid, and then we see something. If they change it between this raid and the next raid, we already have a player base that's extremely upset. And then those are the people that didn't have the failings, the Cadies. Now you're going to piss off the Cadies players because now you've nuked my Cadies. And so now you pissed off everybody. And maybe that's their goal. I don't really understand their goal because there's been a lack of communication as far as how they're pushing forward, what they're trying to do next. What they're trying to show is like, this is the baseline that you should achieve. And this is, should be your expectations going into the raid. But I don't know that that's been communicated as far as I can tell. So let's, should we go on to the next slide? All right. I think we've covered most of the stuff. Insufficient information prior to the raid.
Just version, the raid sucked.
Yep. Yeah, the ammo carrier, currently that whole mechanic appears to be useless unless they make it useful in the future. Because they did. Go ahead.
Well, I brought this up with you one day. I think that as the level of the target increases, or the armor on the ships, the enemy ships, and they're tougher to kill, as that stuff starts escalating, I think they're going to be a lot more important to kill. Even though how do you get to them and kill them before you're just bombarded by everything in a lot of the targets? I don't know.
Man, I'll be honest. I think we're seeing the final target. I think they just tuned it all the way to the top and then is going to leave it, which just bones everybody.
Well, then if that's the case, then they are useless.
There's no way in hell the auto hull should take fucking 5 hours of damage in autoing a target. One single target for 20% less points when costs have gone up over 200%.
Yeah, and the ammo carrier mechanic is similar to that. What was going on in the siege target in the S sets, where you had the which one was that? They had one where they had buildings that were hidden in the back, all the way in the back, that were debuffing you.
That was last raid.
They never. Okay, yeah, that's something. Yeah, no, buildings all the way in the back.
Yeah.
That was the last raid cycle.
Right.
But they were all the way in the back. So that's what they're doing with these ammo carriers. It's not like you can, on some of the targets, you can semi-strategically pick them off and, provide an advantage over autoing. But a lot of them, it's like you got to, you're better off killing them. Just like in the last one where it was like, you had a debuff that was going the whole time, but the only time you could kill it is you got all the way to the back of the base. There needs to be a strategic way to kill these things earlier. I think people tried to rocket them and all that kind of stuff. It didn't work.
Did anyone have enough missile manticores to try to see if they were easier to pick off? I would assume they would be because you have more range.
Dude, the missile manticore guys were running those targets for a good build was around friggin' 30 minutes of damage.
But were they taking the time to take out the ammo carriers, or were they just going straight through the ones that you saw?
Straight through. They were just going straight through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I think what the difference was too, though, is I think they had at the beginning it was 4 of them, and they were running just under an hour or something, and then they grabbed the flag, cranked that out, and with the flag, just a blank flag, it was running like, I think the best one I saw was 24 minutes of damage. No crew, no nothing, just in and out.
Yeah, I think that was mod?
Vengeful one actually is the one I saw.
Okay. Yeah, and mod had a 20-minute one too, I saw, but
did he? Yeah. But he drove like all sorts. He drives all sorts of crazy too. But the thing is, if we're gonna have to drive like that with both fleets, then you got to give some sort of advantage to the damn scatter hull. Because
Absolutely.
auto hull. And if I'm going to drive like I'm driving a missile hull, I want the benefit too. You know, I don't want 3 hours of damage. I want 30 minutes of damage. That's bullshit.
I don't mind it being around an hour or so for the non-skill hull, because I'm just throwing it in there. I'm a dirty coiner.
Right.
Right. So
that's the gauge that I usually use for an auto hull. I test them with no crew, no nothing, and then I test them with a crew, and then like the combo crews when I use like a demo and a grease monkey. And generally, what I've found is it's been consistently about 1 coin or less than 30 minutes if I use the grease monkey in the demo, and it's usually between 2 coins and 3 coins if I just let them run in. But I also tweak that build like crazy. You know what I mean? I usually try and get like a good edgy build in there to do that, because I like the auto option, because I don't want to sit there and do 150 of these fucking targets.
But is there, now let's just say you think, okay, the missile option is the better way to go. Now, is there enough time to get 2 missile bots out? And will 2 missile bots be enough in the next iteration of the raid, being the second cycle?
I think we've all been because we got the damn. If you didn't start doing the missile hull and sucked it up for the first raid, you're not going to get the missile hull out until the 3rd raid unless you're going to coin it. And honestly, I'm not going to refit, because then I don't want to get screwed later on, because just like Padre said, I still got to do the chores, and the chores are already bad enough. I don't want to have to drive the damn things. So,
but if they're not going to come down with the damage, then you're going to have to build 2. There's no other way.
I want to see the decrease in build times, because we're getting boned on tokens. It used to be like, what, 290 days in tokens a year, and now it's, I don't even know what the hell it is, because we don't even see them in the raid. And a lot of players relied on the raid to be able to just keep up with the game because of the tokens that were in there.
That's very true, but what do you do with it? There's obviously, I don't know. Someone said, "Well, that's it. We're going to make it as hard as possible until see how many are going to be standing, you know, at the end." That's what it looks like to me. And see who's going to persevere for the longest. That's what it looks like to me. But they got to do something. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I'm just going to stay in the game till Yanis's bubble pops, which is forever. No, it wasn't a good raid. But for me personally, I'm going to take a little more damage in the raid to have less aggravation after the raid and stay with the scatter hull. Because
man, it's a game. Why do we have to go through the aggravation period?
Well, I mean, it's a game for profit. I mean, it's a free to play game, but it's a profit game. So, I mean, I understand they have to make money, and that's fine, but they have to keep it balanced to where it's within the expectations of the community. If they start throwing out 3-4 times the damage, you see what you saw last trade, which I think is, I think it's in the slide somewhere. What, 40 to 45% of players achieve 10 mil? That's pretty low participation.
This is compared to the previous raid, yeah.
Yeah,
and it gets worse as you go up. It gets all the way to like the people over 500. I think it was 10%. I can't remember if it was 1% or 10% of the people at 500 million and above.
Because I know I went to the bare minimum, excluding the tokens, and then stopped.
Mm.
Yeah, but if they have to make money, that's all fair enough. That's all good. But if they weren't so stupid and fixed PvP, there would be more money coming in than you know.
Oh yeah.
If anyone could hit a base.
I don't think anyone begrudges them making money, right? That's fine. We know it's a business. We know it costs money to friggin' run all this crap and hire the people to code and all that shit. But you know what? Why can't the game be fun? I want to have fun again. I don't want to mindlessly do chores where I want to stick pencils in my eyeballs.
If the game was fun, they would make more money, honestly, with base hitting, because nobody cares. Computer targets don't cry when you hit them.
What base hitting?
Well, when there was,
Exactly.
I mean, you'll have to go back in your you'll have to scroll down in your Facebook till it logs into MySpace, and then you can see it.
Nice.
You know, but there was a time when base hitting was fun, and it still is when the game is almost balanced. Like a few weeks ago, they had it almost right, where, you know, hey, you had a base where the Howies were doing a little bit of damage, and the missiles were doing a little bit of damage, and it was balanced. And then they just said, you know what, that's great and everything, but let's just make it unplayable instead. I think that's a good idea. So I don't know who in the boardroom was like, let's do this, but they should probably be asked to leave or just get coffee from now on.
Yeah, and the people, we're going to talk about the people. We got several slides on the PvP experience recently, and but you know, I'll probably say this again, but what's going on with PvP feels more like either ignorance or ignorance or incompetence or something going on there, or a lack of imagination, a lack of understanding over being greedy.
See, I think that's the last one is the problem, is that it's a lack of understanding or context.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just a lack of context, because unless you play the game, you don't really understand the ramifications of some of these decisions. You know what I mean? Like, hey, yeah, we have this, like, maybe it's a plan, and they want to put, you know, they're like, oh, we're going to do this, this, and this, and it's going to be awesome here, and da-da-da. But the problem is as a player, one, we don't know that because there's no communication, and two, we look at it and we're like, hey, yay, I'm going to go cut the grass.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. So, Grimace skipped a couple of things ahead, but the last one just deals with the lack of communication from Kick's Eye. And some people don't understand this picture, but its picture is based on the fact that I've had a couple people not understand it. And, you know, Kick's Eye's logo is a unicorn, and this person is a unicorn with a appears to be some sort of crystal ball gag. But, yeah, there was a reinforcement of the lack of communication today. There was no Rampage Live or Live Rampage road trip, wherever he might be. I mean, you know,
well,
it's been 2 weeks in a row.
Well, yeah, I think the last one that he had done, he said that he was going to be gone for 2 weeks. He wasn't going to do one for 2 weeks. Because I started digging through the past ones, because I was like, people were telling me that the auto hull, they never said it was an auto hull and blah blah. I started digging through because I knew they had said yes, it was a fucking auto hull, and I actually had watched that and caught that part where he said, yeah, I'm not. This for the 2 weeks after this, he wasn't doing it. So I don't know where he's at, but yeah, he did give us a heads up for that at least.
Yeah, he plans his vacations. He plans his vacations associated when things go sideways in the game. His previous vacation was right before the after the FM. The FM change when they cranked up the damage. He looks at like the roadmap for the game and is like, oh, I'm going on vacation.
Maybe Doom Rooster gave him a heads up before he left.
Yeah, this is when you need to go on vacation. So, all right, are we all done with the raid? Because the next thing is going to start going into the PvP part of things and what's going on with that. So I guess we're done with that. I'm sorry, go ahead, George.
Can't touch this.
Yes.
Never mind.
Yeah, well, you can. See, that's the problem. Everybody expected you wouldn't be able to touch this once you got the MC Plate 2, and it would, even a really unbalanced build and, you know, a really bad build would be able to stop what's going on right now with the long range Howies and Executioners being able to get through everybody's deflection. I mean, deflection, I mean, they've chosen it, but deflection is a very difficult environment in order to balance things.
Yeah. And instead of getting the armor that we were expecting, we got surprise butt sex. Awesome.
Yeah. You know, I'm not sure which side of that you were on, but yeah.
I think we're all on the same side right now. I'm just saying.
You seemed excited about it either way. That's all I'm saying. But
that wasn't excitement.
Okay.
Well, in a few weeks, when we get MC Plate 3, I think things will be a little better.
You mean completely opposite?
Oh wait, no.
Yes, we get Howie 7 or whatever it's gonna be. Yeah, it's I really dislike this. Just sort of like, okay, we're gonna have sort of this binary yes no as far as damage. Either you're gonna do 360 or over damage or whatnot, or you're gonna just kill the fleet as soon as you see it.
I feel like they got a kid with the light switch.
Yeah. I want to, like, I kind of wanted to, today, me and Wayne were trying to put the final touches on that turret calculator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were going through all of the, we had to go through every single blueprint, put in like the salvos and all of the shit. And we're reading these off to each other and we're chuckling because we're going through like Howie 1, Howie 2, Howie 3. But then when you looked at it, if you stopped and looked at the progression from one to the next, there was actually small progressive steps.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go from like, 5,000 to 5 million, where
until about 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you just look at the prints that have multiples and you just look at the progression, you can actually see it's like a small. I think the biggest one was the gargoyle because the last gargoyle came out well after the first set.
Yeah,
something like that. It was one of them that was like, but you could see even then it was still not that big of a leap.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why we had to do this massive leap, and we're using all these massive numbers now because I've cut zeros off of everything and we're good. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, there was a point in time that a couple of years ago where they decided, I guess I forget what they were even trying to eliminate, but they just made the numbers huge all of a sudden. I mean, it's like, one recommendation I would is little comma separators. I mean, at least in the U.S. that would make sense because the numbers are getting so large that it's just gobbledygook unless you like we talked about on Wednesday, unless you put them in a spreadsheet and try and figure them out. This is not. I mean, it's sort of a strategy game if we had all the facts.
And even then, man, you don't realize just how complex the thing is until you actually have to put all this shit into a spreadsheet, and then you're like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Because, damn. I mean,
yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Well, we can click one more time. Let's see where we are at that point. Okay, this is where the issue comes up. This is an extremely imbalanced build because it's concentrated to stop the Howies and the Executioners. We would assume that we would also have explosive deflection because we're going to be putting on the missile, one of the missiles, probably the D55X, which also brings your explosive up. But now you're vulnerable to phylogistons, throwers, corrosive, adders, which they haven't released in a long time. But it still doesn't stop what's going on. On the left-hand side, we have a build with 3 MC1s and 2 MC2s. This is from Wednesday. And then we see the deflections associated with that. Below that, we have the bonuses that are associated with the Mauler, which adds another 70K. And I'm using those numbers to calculate how much damage that this ship is going to take. That's really slanted. It's slanted in one direction just to stop basically 2 turrets. The Howie with the critical damage. Every critical hit is going to provide just under 1 million damage. So it's going to kill a ship with 3 criticals. And then the...
well, 6, right? Because you have to cut that in half.
Sorry. Well, I've already included the siege bonus.
Right, but you still got to cut damage in half when you compare it to hit.
But everybody that's, I mean, from what I've seen, are people getting killed in 3 criticals or 6? I don't know. I mean, from what I've heard and seen, people are getting killed really quickly either way.
Yeah, but it's for the damage itself. When you get to the final damage, you got to cut it in half again, and then you get the real damage in game, which I don't know why in the hell that hasn't changed.
Yeah, and yeah. People are agreeing with 3 crits. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I was agreeing with his point of why hasn't that changed? Because every time I do a calculation and somebody says, "Remember, you got to cut that in half," I want to punch them in the face. Anytime, in fact,
but
that's as bad as someone telling me to do. Someone tell me to do Snowfall when I've already completed Snowfall. You know what? I've already done that. But yeah, why can't the numbers reflect what they are?
Doesn't that go back to way back whenever they tried to do that and everybody was in an uproar that they were.
Look, that's what they said, but one of the times that come up, I actually went back and tried to search for a crazy psycho thread about that change, and I couldn't find it. I could find the one when they changed the graphics. That was easy to find.
Hey, that one was fun. Yeah, that one was fun.
That was awesome. But
when the Seawolf looked like a bit of sweet pizza.
Yeah, I couldn't find the damage one that they keep on referring to, that everyone flipped their shit. I didn't find it. I did find the visual thing though, that's for sure.
Yeah. When they changed the way the turrets looked, everybody went sideways. But
as long as most of you have been playing, I think you would have remembered that happened. You know what I'm saying? If it happened, like they say.
It was short lived. It was short lived. They jumped back on it. It was sort of like when Frontline Countermeasures came out with I think it was 70% turret resistance, and people got really upset when they brought it back down to 50. Well, because originally like Siege Battery was 50, and then they put Frontline Countermeasures at 70, and a ton of people coined them, and then they changed them. They changed them back down to 50. People got really upset.
I was going to compare it to the Revenge, when they started changing all that stuff to make it PvP oriented instead, and everyone was like, they nerfed it, and it really wasn't. It was just their change, you know what I mean? Yeah. But the damage thing, I could not you can go back and look, and you can find the one when they changed the damn visuals, the graphics. But I couldn't find like a crazy psycho thread about the damage getting to display properly. I don't know. Maybe I just suck at Kix's Eye searches. I don't know.
It was a while ago, and I have a hard time searching for anything because it's really hard if you're banned from the forums to get any information out of them at this point.
We know you're banned from the forums.
No, they changed something. They changed something about a month and a half ago.
Yeah, but we know you're banned from the forums, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, but
so does George. But whatever.
What he's saying is that if you're banned and you go into the forums now, you can't even see the forums. Like, it just does this little circle thingy, and you got a black screen. You can't even see information.
Yeah. Before, a couple of months ago, you could see what was going on, but now you can't see anything. So now you got to go through like an incognito. Well, I refuse to start an alt to deal with this, but it's they need to fix it. They did something about 2 months ago that made it very difficult for anybody that's banned from the forums to get any information from Kix's Eye.
And there's a lot more people banned than there are in the forums now. So
it's probably true. Yes. Oh my!
Probably fix that if they would actually talk to us in the forums, in their own venue for communicating with the player base.
Yeah, they want to, but this is what people expected to balance. The MC Plate 2 is what people, I think everybody expected to sort of balance out base hitting, right? This is the balancing point. This is why after 3 weeks or a month, everything was messed up, and now we have this
I mean,
in order to fix everything for people.
yeah, I think we all expected at least enough so we could, like play bounty. I mean, that was the expectation, right?
Yeah, because even with this, even if you equip the ship like this, you probably still couldn't play bounty. Even if it exceeded even if you weren't taking damage from Howies or executioners, you still probably couldn't do it because it's such an extreme build.
There's look, if you're with a really organized alliance that talks to each other, I think if it was more balanced, you could definitely get something going, right? I mean, it would cost coin, but you'd be able to do it. With this, it's so unbalanced now that even, yeah, can it be done? Sure. Is it cost prohibitive? Yes. No one wants to actually do this crap. You have to build like specific fleets to prep. No one wants to do that crap. That's not how the game's supposed to be.
No.
So I don't know. So I guess Bounty's going to be Farmville Battle Pirate style, I guess. I don't know.
But maybe that's what they want us to do, to have prep fleets, to have like in the old days, you come in with the assault or with the.
Don't you think that we should know that in, like, I don't know, a state of the game or something, maybe?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's no excuse for not telling us, but maybe that's what they want us to do. That we have to be mind readers to play this game. So maybe that's what
I
they want us to do, to build
first. I'll just throw that
I mean,
out there.
even in the way that the current environment is, I don't know. I'd be afraid to do anything PvP right now because it's so volatile. I don't know what the hell's what my fleet's going to look like next month, let alone next week.
Yeah, but since someone already said the B word, what's going to happen if you can't get in any bases because they got their pen and their ballistic maxed out? Then what?
There's not going to be any bounty.
You can't hit real bases because it doesn't work there, and you can't hit the copies because the real bases are still there. So
it'll be Farmville. It'll be Farmville, and then when you're not going to be hitting any of the bigger bases on the map so everyone's going to be scrambling for the same little bases that show up on the map
that are hardly there now.
Yep.
It seems like, because I don't think as many lower level players have been playing, each time. So then there's fewer and fewer of those on the map.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm screwed again for bounty because it's fallen on a bank holiday weekend again over it. So last bounty I got screwed and I couldn't make it on. This bounty I'm not going to be able to make it on to do bounty again, which means that even though I picked up the extra Howies in the raid, I'm still not going to be at a point where I can defend my base effectively because it's just, well, it's ridiculous, really.
What sector are you going to be in for bounty?
Yeah, fuck off. I'm just not even going to bother bloody attempting to do it because last time I managed to get 1 day in order to do it, and I just literally got flattened by Pops 1 about like 40 times in 3 hours because I was going out and hitting bases for bounty. In the end, I was just leaving it flat and just hitting bases for bounty just so that they couldn't steal it off me if it was because it was already flat. But then good old Kicks throws in the lovely shockwave crashes and stuff like that, which means you have to refresh, you have to repair, and then so it was just an absolute nightmare for me last month, and I'm just not even going to be able to do it this month. But because I can't do it, because I just won't have the time to do it, it puts me back again, and it kind of just pisses you off a bit, really. There's no kind of I think a lot of people are in the same boat as well, where they just, no matter what they try, if they're missing something, people can't always get on to do things when they want us to do it, and you miss a couple of days here and there, and you're screwed for another month or another 2 months, and it's not really good for longevity of the player base, really, in my opinion. But I don't know what everybody else thinks.
No, I mean that's long term. It's going to hurt player retention because if people fall behind, then they don't feel relevant, and then if they can't feel relevant quickly, they're not going to want to engage, and if they stop engaging, they're going to stop playing eventually because there's only so much the social aspect is going to carry the game.
And there's only so much that at the end of the day, I coin. There's only so much I'm going to coin if I don't feel that I'm getting anywhere. So you're kind of hurting your own pocket by pushing all this shit down everybody's necks all the time. And when you build in the latest and greatest fleets and getting them ready, and then they're crap, and you're taking loads of damage, I am not going to pay in order to do chores to start off with. Simple as that. A lot of other people aren't either. All right, fair enough. If it was in a reasonable amount, then maybe. But
well, I mean, somebody's doing it because otherwise they would have cut the damage down in the FM. I mean, they got to be making FM, otherwise that would have changed. So I want to know what damn, pardon my French, or like, this is going to offend people. I don't know what idiots are fucking coining the FM, but damn it, holy crap. I don't know why.
But you don't need to, unless you want it done yesterday, you don't need to coin the FM. You just hit your 1 or 2 targets and then you repair, and then you hit another one and then you repair. That's all you need to do. You don't need to coin.
Well, the big problem I find with the FM, George put up a poll on the TFC site 2 days ago or yesterday, I forget. Last 36 hours or so. The big problem that I found with it was the fact that they provided us with technology that acted like this is the way to go, right? The RX reloader engine thing, and they provided this stuff. And then we built that way, and we had a target where it was fairly obtainable with that technology that they provided us. And then they tripled the damage. And and we didn't have the ability, because they were building all this other stuff in order to adapt. I mean, people are now using the Savage Kodiak and the Zelos in there. And then they're making changes from, they're going to, some people are going to RA3. Some, they're changing their builds. And then last raid cycle, not last raid cycle, last raid, it was 8 million raid points per 1-day build token for the Inferno Dragon. So they didn't even give us the ability to adapt to what they've already done and the changes that they've made, which I find to be maddening, because they made it so exorbitant to actually make changes and fine-tune this build where the FM already feels really broken to me. It seems like they should have given that out at 800 points. Give us 10, allow us to refit, because you're the one that, after everybody built them, you changed them. You changed the damage associated with them. You changed our expectations of the damage associated with them. I was not happy with that. I mean, at this point, I'm like, I'm sort of like toxic. I'm like, screw it. I'll hit a couple, and then I'll repair, and then I won't do useless TLCs. I'll just log off. I'll repair, and I'll move on.
Yeah,
I'm going to be honest. That hull is the most refit hull I have ever had in the game. Ever.
What, the Dragons?
Yeah.
Well, you saw how I started out with it.
Yep.
I agree. Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
I've refit the most, and I've still not really got anywhere.
But that's the players' fault, because players are not smart. Only kick size smart.
Yeah. I mean, we're a bunch of damn idiots. We're still playing the game.
Guys, that's the real answer right there. Until they lose money, they will not do anything.
Yeah.
They must have lost money this right. They must have lost money. There's no way they didn't.
Toxic, if you have, I don't know, let's just pick a random number. If you got $1 million stockpile in the bank, you can take a couple of hickeys. But it's until you start seeing repeated downturns you're not going to adjust anything.
I agree with that. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, your war chest, until your war chest starts dwindling and you feel the pinch, then you will make a change.
Yep.
Just remember, they can also pull the plug.
So good. Let them pull the plug. It would save
Just
all
saying.
of us a lot of money and time.
Yeah, I don't know if they should pull
Well,
the plug.
don't pull the plug just yet. I haven't found another game to play just right now.
Yeah.
Just hang on with the plug for a bit.
Yeah, SimDate 5 has yet to come out, so I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing. But
I've been saving up for a sex robot.
really, okay. I mean, one that's already developed, or one that's going to be coming out in the future.
It's upgradable, so
Okay.
Crib
buy the
show
base
when.
It'll be on my YouTube channel soon.
Okay. So we're not talking. We're talking Real Doll 4.5 or something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Definitely. It looks a lot like the picture of the unicorn.
Okay.
I said earlier. Teach their own.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree with the point that until they feel a pinch, they're not gonna listen to anybody because they think everything's going fine as long as their figures are showing in the green and they're making money from these raids and making money overall. You've got people that are making the big decisions, and I guarantee you they're not on the game at all, hardly. And they look at a spreadsheet or some numbers from people under them that are passed up, and as long as those numbers look good, there's no reason for them to say, hey, we need to enact some serious changes here. Everything seems to be working fine. So I think that's something that we all need to keep in mind. That there's a lot of people, especially in bigger companies, that they only look at the numbers. That's the only thing that matters. They're not looking at the players. They're not looking at the game. They're looking at the numbers. And until you can show them a difference there's not going to be any effective change.
It's all right looking at short-term numbers, but when you actually look at the impact that you're having on your long-term numbers, that's a lot difference there.
If they can clean house, they can remodel the game the way they want to where they bring in more people that are willing to coin. And obviously there are some people that are still coining, so they are out there. I think they're looking to run off what they can and remodel.
Potentially, but they don't do marketing anymore. They used to do
How do you know they don't do marketing? They're doing something if they're looking at a $20 million investor.
For Kickside, not for this game.
That's investment they announced to be doing in machine learning, something, nothing to do with Battle Pirates.
No, but they're still going to use the machine learning in Battle Pirates, correct?
I haven't seen that written anywhere. It was absolutely not connected with Battle Pirates other than being the same company.
That's what I mean. It's still the same company.
Okay. Well, let's get back to, I think the last couple slides are talking about changes to PvP. This one's mine that I show. It still says Friday preview, but this is one of the ones I showed on Wednesday. The big problem that we've seen, at least that I think that I've seen as far as what's going on with PvP, is the tier bonus damage multiplier has created a situation that they don't seem to be aware of or able to control, where the more, in order to overcome deflection, which is, again, like I said, is a tricky environment, they keep on, every time you add a turret, you're adding 25% damage, which is so tricky for them to deal with. Because it's, it's a difference between doing, like we showed earlier, basically close to 1 million damage, or 360 or 670 damage. Like magnitudes of difference. And that's, like Earth, you mentioned on the Wednesday show, oh, if you missed a raid, you might be short one of these turrets, a Halo or
It bothers me, Hefe, that the turrets have no merit on their own anymore. Like,
yeah.
See, I'm screwed because I've missed out on 2 of the ballistic turrets and three of the missile turrets. So I'm completely and utterly screwed, big time.
Well, I'm in the same boat. I couldn't because of the raid. It was on me working late and couldn't get the raid or the bounty a day late. I've missed out on 2 turrets, and I've missed out on 1 turret in the last raid. So there's no way of catching up. There should be somewhere.
Have enough points, and so penetrative group's not an option to me because it's missing 2 pieces. So that means all penetrative turrets become useless.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I've tried.
Binary situation where either, like Hefe said, either you do real serious damage or it's 360.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to come up with a framework for a discussion to talk about as far as like what we think about what's going on right now and what we would like to see. If you look over the left-hand side where it says range class of 170 to 200, this is already done. This is our Howies and Executioners that have a tier bonus associated with damage, which I think was a huge mistake. And also what we've seen from the shorter range turrets that came with this, the blunderbuss and the vulture, and then whatever the hell's going on with the Halo, which is longer range, and I don't even understand that one. But what we run into a situation was what we just discussed, where we're either doing 1 million damage or we're doing 360 damage. But what we've seen from those shorter range turrets is they do maybe 10, 20% more damage unless you maybe get into a critical situation. If you do over 50% damage or something like that. So what I try to do is create a framework. I admit it's not perfect, and I admit, but what I'm trying to show here is just the idea of, like, if you have range class of the top line of less than 105, which means it can be sniped, means you can't just click to the back of the base. It's going to overcome deflection immediately, one by itself. But its tier bonus is every time you build another one, you get another multi-shot or something of that nature that isn't such a game breaker where you're swapping over 900,000 damage to a ship that has 2.3 million. You're creating more subtleties, 50 Shades of Gray, which is now a whole different thing, but you're creating these gray areas where players can get into strategically building their bases. And then the next one down is, it says time to kill. The time to kill column deals with one turret, how long it takes to kill a ship. And what I'm saying is something that's snipeable should melt your face. You should not wander into that. You should not be able to aim at the back of a base. One of these by themselves, if you run over it with a fleet of missile storm cruisers, should take you out. You're not going to be able to take out this turret before you're dead. The next layer down, the 120 to 140, not snipeable, and is orders of magnitude less damage. And this one is based on damage over time, stacking, shockwaves, stacking, corrosive and radioactive. And the tier bonuses add some percentage, 10%, 50%, I don't know, of reload to create those stacks at a higher level. That way, once you force a player to stop moving and take out this short-range turret, you have an advantage on the base side. And there's a strategic element to it. We've already talked about what's already out there, which appears to be garbage unless they fix things quickly. Is extremely long range. You know, your epic cap mortars, things of that nature, where you're only adding projectile speed. These can already overcome. Already overcome any sort of deflections. But you're able to countermeasure them, forcing people to change their builds, to put countermeasures on them. You know, again, we're not in the situation where we're putting all the details on it, but I'm just trying to put like a like just a structure or, something very basic, because what's going on right now does not make a lot of sense to me. So I don't know. Any thoughts? I'm sorry, I talked for a long time.
No, that's fine. I think that's a solid idea. I like the time that it takes. I feel like base turrets should probably do 25. If you're hitting a base during that time, the base turret should probably do about 25 to 50%, and your base fleet should be the other half of the equation. So I think something like this would definitely, depending on the driver, account or fall within those parameters. And again, no numbers or anything to back that up. That's just kind of how I feel the game should go. And feel like for the current situation, they have a mechanic in place already with CICs on every one of these. Why don't they exploit that to a higher degree? The CICs we have for the Conqueror class hulls are, well, I mean, they're all right, but they're also lacking in a lot of areas. They could create a diverse range of CICs that give you more deflection. So you could build a fleet or a couple of ships that are really good at one type of damage taking, and then tank with those, sort of like how we've done throughout the whole game. Use that as a blocker to drive your other ships past, and vice versa, and leapfrog them. Then you're really kind of coming into a skill-based driving situation. So I think there's a lot they can still do with CICs as well, for adding deflections, damages, decreasing reload, sort of like some of the old ones that we have. I guess they're not technically CICs or modules, but
Yeah.
I feel like that's an very underutilized aspect of this whole new PvP world that we have.
How do you guys stay so happy? How do you guys stay so positive? This is everything everything that they've done, they've introduced, has been underutilized. Go to go to the arena, it's dead. Go to bounty, it's dead. Go to base hitting, it's dead. Go to look at PvE, it's dead. Every single aspect of this game is dead. They are not listening to us. They don't want our input. What are we doing?
I guess we're hoping that they eventually lose enough players that they start listening. But again,
how long have you been hoping for that?
Even that, years, probably, maybe.
Yeah.
Insanity. What is the definition? And we all are guilty. I'm really guilty. I keep hoping they're going to change, but they don't. It's the same shit. Monday after Monday after Monday after Monday. Event after event after event. But yet we get on here to these shows, we talk positive, thinking maybe Kixeye will listen if we're nice. The only thing Kixeye cares about is the coin that comes from us to them.
Yeah, and the thing is, if they don't start listening, that's not going to happen, is it? And
well, but we've been saying that for 4 years, Irv. For at least 4 years. We've said it, same thing, but we don't change. You've left the game and come back and coined.
Yeah, I know.
How many times have you left the game?
Only once.
Okay. Well, we know Dirty Harry has left several times and come back. They lose big whales to this coining, and they don't get the coin, and they don't care. So what is being nice to them going to accomplish? Oh, this is a nice group over here. Let's make it a little easier on them. If they send in a ticket, we'll give them 5 coins. It's just so flippin' crazy that we're still playing it.
I'd be mad too if they only gave me 5 coins.
I know you would be.
I don't open many tickets, honestly.
No, you don't. Neither do I. Hell, I just bend over and take it because I know they're not going to do anything. I must admit, I sent in a ticket and I got 2 7-day ship build tokens 2 raids ago.
That's nice.
Yeah, well, you knew about that. We were
Go ahead
talking
and
about
copy and paste that ticket to on the next crib show.
Yes, sir.
We should have like a ticket of the week. Everybody send in your best garnered ticket. Oh wait, I think you get banned for that. But do it anyway.
But what are these shows? What are all the shows good for? They're good for the panel to voice their anger of what the community wants. So it's an outlet for us to let off steam.
Yes,
but we can still be positive.
Wait, but okay, being positive has gotten us nothing. Turning the other cheek several times has gotten my cheek slapped several times. Okay,
I agree. But
all we're trying to do is to help the player base, and that's the best thing that we do. But right now, anybody that would recommend to anybody in this game to spend coin for anything is doing a huge disservice to the community. Suggesting that we go out and refit like I have done, and like George has done, and like Padre has done, is a huge disservice to the community.
You know, I think we should coin the Manticore missile version for next raid.
Why?
Don't tell me that I'm doing scatters. I don't like the way you
I need the money.
I'm just pissing him off. That's all I'm doing.
I know, I'm kidding.
Don't take me seriously.
But yeah, no, I mean,
I'm
I
just doing a disservice to the community.
It
no, Ren, you provide one of the biggest services to the community. That's what
By
I'm
the way,
saying.
it was a joke, Rum. Don't get mad at me.
I know. I'm not mad at you, buddy. I get excited. And, you know, ask Daniel. He can tell you. You provide one of the biggest services to this community that I've ever seen in your builds, in your videos, and in your how-tos. You really do.
Player retention. I really do that for player retention because it got to a point where the quality of the information coming out of Kickstarter was so bad.
Yes, sir.
And the content so fast.
Ren,
people
how much
couldn't absorb and process and know which way to go, and people started getting frustrated and just leaving.
Please do not take this the wrong way.
I'm just saying that's why.
No. I'm going to say something that may be a little bit on an off-color site, but it's not meant that way. It's meant to say you've done yeoman's job on getting this accomplished and helping people. How much have you been compensated? Because you're doing their job.
No question about that. They should be doing that kind of stuff. I mean, most other games you go, people just share their playing time. They don't really need to explain the game to players because the game is self-explanatory.
You do this out of a love for the game, and it's admirable, buddy, because I don't have the patience anymore. I admire what you do, and the fact that you can put this out there, and that you do a good job with the information that you have. These guys are banking $80,000 to $100,000 a year, and they're sitting on their thumbs going, look at these guys. They're doing our job for us. They don't get anything. We do it out of a love for the game, a true version of an amateur versus those guys being pros, and they suck ass.
No. The way I see, they're the amateurs, except they're paid.
Yeah, but that's what I mean by them being professionals. They're like hookers on the street.
But look, there's people in this game that are going to coin, and it doesn't matter what Kicks does or what anyone does, they will coin. And then there's people that coin, when Kicks is good, they coin. When Kicks is bad, they'll either slow down or stop. That's why people like Ren, who pull these builds and whatnot. And if you build them like I built them, I built the dragons, and I had to change just one thing on it, and now they work great. I can do 3 of them in a row, and then I repair. So what he does is it's great. It means I don't have to spend a coin on this.
I said it's great. I said I admire everything that he does.
No,
the problem There are those out there that will continue to coin, and they have influence, however you want to put it, over other people. And they say, hey, if you coin this, you can get out there faster, and you might be able to kill a base. There ain't nobody going to kill a base, other than if you go hit 20 or 30 or 40 levels down. So suggesting to anybody that they coin, even though it's their own money and they can do whatever they damn well please, we're still doing a disservice to the community by suggesting anybody to coin anything.
Oh yeah, I mean that's not. No, I would never suggest anyone to coin right now. I would never do that, even if the game was good. I mean, that's up to the individual. They have to see that for themselves. That it's not the way that it should be right now. But that's totally out of our hands, I guess. We can only try to keep as many people playing, even if it's without money, for as long as possible, so that this it survives for as long as it can, basically. Yeah. And what else are you gonna do? There's not much you can do. And voicing your anger and frustration in these shows it gets you through to the next week, and then the next month, and the next ride.
What do they call the groups where you go sit down, where you holler, you listen to people talk and they say something? Because I'll tell you what, Kickside ain't listening. Kickside doesn't give a shit. Kickside's got their hands out going, give me coin, give me coin, give me coin. It's a 12-strat program for all of us.
Hi, my name is George, and I'm a BP player.
Shit, my name is Kevin, and I'm a BP freaking addict.
And the other thing is, a lot of times we don't coalesce as a group and say no to what Kickside's putting forth, or the actions that they're taking or not taking. So there may come a time when the players unanimously can speak up and do something to show Kickside that we're tired of how things are going.
Yeah, and the thing is too is I think because if we do something like if people start talking boycott, I mean that just gets tuned out. I think there are other options that if the community comes together, like when they changed the visuals on the ships, right? Like if the community absolutely bands together, they listen and they actually respond. The problem is that we generally don't. I mean, we're pirates, and
exactly,
we're very individualistic. So I don't know. I don't know how you would do that.
Well, I'm not talking about a boy.
Well, I think you need to come up with
a graphics update, and people were up in arms because they hated how the game looked. It took them all of 3 days to revert and have their CEO post an apology on behalf of the team on forum. Took them like less than 3 days.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, he actually came out and said, "We fucked up," like literally word for word.
He literally said it. Yeah, wrote it actually. And okay, back then probably the game was making a lot more money because they had like any point in time over 100,000 players active and probably 3 million players total. But whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is we've got to figure out how to, because clearly the communication is not working. And I don't know, like I said, I think that the problem is that there's just no context for, like, if they're relying on numbers or if they're relying on something, I don't know that they have context of what, like, for example, the armor coming out. I don't know if they have context of what that actually does to the game or doesn't do in the game that impacts the players that do this every day. I mean, we're much more involved and invested in this game than they are, I think.
Well, how many of them do play the game at all?
I have no idea.
Exactly right. We don't know. And I would, at a guess, would say not many, if any at all.
That should be required. They should have to play the game for an hour a day.
Yep. I completely agree.
Well, they did make some rules. They did make some rules to prevent. This is going a way back. I think one of the best game designers, he played with the community, and this was 3 to 4 years ago, and he designed good targets and he understood the game. But they're not allowed to play with us like they used to, because he kept on getting banned because he was too good at it. but it helped the game overall. I mean,
yes, it did, and I'll tell you, Padre's a perfect example of that. I was about ready to freaking quit this game. I don't know how many times, and Padre come up and started hitting my base, and he smashed it. It was no problem for him whatsoever. I started following what Padre did, and Padre is the reason why I'm still here playing this game, trying to get better. And they don't have anybody in the company doing that.
No, they don't.
And they should.
What I'm talking about is like that was a game designer that was.
I don't care. He went out and kicked everybody's ass. He made them want to play better. Come on.
No, but he understood what the game was about at that point in time. I'm not saying he was motivating
the player base.
He was, and that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I gave him a list of players he would hit, and he would hit their bases in the Sector 0, and he would hit player bases in Sector 0, if not in the real sector. Like, okay, hit this guy's base, hit that guy's base. Can you break it? How are you doing? Da 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 da. And he would hit these players' bases that I suggested, and then things were based upon his experiences hitting, different kinds of player bases that were good in the game, and it helped. Even though it was done in Sector 0, which means, in a test environment, there was no sniping, there was none of that stuff, but it helped him figure out how to move forward, and that helped him figure out how.
And he was very smart. I mean, he was like go about 3-4 years ago, and but he used to do stuff that actual players do. Like I remember him running Hell Strikes, but then he had that destroyer ECM on the side using that aura to activate the battery. It was the kind of trick that only savvy players do, and designers they have no clue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he would find the quirks in the game. He would find the weird things to do that everybody feels special about doing.
He was Kick-Size George.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he was. That's
He was Kick-Size George. He would intentionally break it to see what they needed to do to fix it. That's what George does well. Say it what it is. Give him credit.
But just imagine how good this would be if all the people that are involved in designing and whatnot the game, if they had a base in the real player world that they've designed. They don't need to give us their name, and we never need to know that that's a base from a game designer or whatnot. We never need to know that. But if they had their bases in there, and let's just say make them a higher level base, where the big players say, "Oh, look at this, he's got so many medals, blah blah blah. Let's hit him." And if the players then break that base, they can then design something that would help them along, and they can go out and hit that player as well. It can be totally anonymous. And how would the game be helped if that was to happen? That would be an awesome thing that they could do.
I mean, and he had a huge amount of passion for the game, because his base would get banned because players would figure out that he was Kick-Size. And so eventually what happened? He created his own base, spent his own money in order to hit bases, to figure out how to be better at designing the game. He had a huge amount of passion associated with the game, and he was using his own dollars. He was using his own money. He wasn't using Kick-Size coin in order to go and hit bases, in order to be a better game designer. And he had a huge amount of passion to make the game correct. And that's special. And I appreciate it. I just don't see it right now. That's your own company is going to ban you from playing, and then you start up your own account and you spend your own money in order to figure out how to do these, how to be like a normal player. And it's something that's lost, and that's when the game was really good, when you had game designers like that. I'm not criticizing the current game designers, but that's when it was it was on point. It was like we would never have this crap that's going on now. I've talked to him, last couple of days about what's going on now, and he's he sort of understands it, but the numbers are so crazy.
I mean, I don't know much about game designing and whatnot, but whether you need to be a game player to be a game designer, I've got no idea. But Kicks has to do something. They have to do something. That someone there to understand how the game actually works.
Hey, can I break in right here and say, can I go off of screen share? Because I'm really tired of staring at this.
Okay, one more slide. One more slide. This is
Nuns with guns. I can deal with that.
Yeah, I had another picture, and I had to remove all the fucking expletives that Padre had in order to put them on the slide. But
I don't curse. That wouldn't be very Padre-like.
No, but you understand what I did there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no expletives in what he put, but yeah, the fact that I said fucking expletives, but yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, well, basically, I've just been talking with people. I mean, again, I run an alliance. I talk with other alliance leaders, and I try and get a feel for what everyone's main gripes are with the game, in hopes that someone will listen to it, or I can tell the right person and it can get to the right person. Who knows? But some of the three of the biggest that I've kind of come across time and time again. Again, top of the list should be just communication, honestly. But in no particular order, I'd like to see a testing environment that focuses on PvP aspects of the game. The current testing seems to be lacking in this area, and I feel like you have plenty of players that could greatly help this whole gameplay if they would just tap into that and use them as testers as well. And I'm not trying to say that the current testers aren't adequate. While I think there could probably be a larger subset of people included in the testing, and I don't even, I don't care if it's me. I just think probably a larger subset would give you better results. But also focusing more on PvP, because it seems like there's not a focus on PvP, which is the reason I play the game. Personally, I don't get on to do these chores or raids or TLCs, and I think that most people are probably the same way. They get on to fight other people because that's the creative part. You're fighting another living, thinking organism, not the same thing over and over and over again. So I think that would help a lot. I think this is probably top of the list. They need to make an improved effort in communication. Basically what should be happening, what is happening, and what's going to happen needs to be communicated to the players, because honestly, I wouldn't be as mad about this whole 1 month lull in PvP if I knew it was part of a plan, or if I had something of an outline of what they're doing, that would make me think that they have a clue of what they're doing. Because as it stands right now, the only thing I see is incompetence. That's how it comes across to myself. That's how it comes across to every other player in the game. And anyone that tries to tell me that they have a plan right now, I really just have no faith in that whatsoever. I think some things that they could do is utilize your forums in a better manner. Why don't you make a list of all the things that are broken and aren't exploitable? Because I know they can't share exploitable glitches, but all the things that we've listed that are wrong or broken with the game, countermeasures, leaderboard stats, it's a long list. I don't have it in front of me, but list those out and say, look, these are the things that we're working on, and set goals for yourselves. I mean, what kind of a company can come out and have all these errors with their product and not communicate that they're working to improve their product for the end user?
That's what frustrates me. Sorry for interrupting you a moment,
No,
Padre.
go. I'm ranting. So.
That's what frustrates me a lot, is because I had a town hall meeting with them. I skipped a few because I was too mad at their overall lack of awareness and direction and doing the right things. But I went back this week, and we discussed, like, a list of problems, like long running problems the game has. And, you know, I can't talk about the meeting because they don't want us to talk about the meeting, blah, blah, blah. But they should communicate. They have plans. And that's where I think Kixeye fails as a business. Like, they have plans. You may not agree with the dates and with the priority, but they have a plan. But they don't communicate. So the overall perception is, oh, they're not doing anything about it and they don't care. They are their own worst enemy.
Yeah, I think a lot of the problems that are in the game could be alleviated with communication from Kixeye about what's going on and what they're working on.
Yep. I think getting rid of the whip was a massive mistake. Because that was at least once a month a touch point where they would say, hey, this month we're planning to fix this problem, bring this new feature, change this, adjust that, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, and I would like to see them own up to their errors, because right now it's sort of like, you know, oh, it's like a painter that missed a whole room and he's sitting there whistling and telling you to pay him. You know, maybe that's not the best analogy, but that's the image I get. You know, he's just sitting there. What do you mean something's wrong? Tell us. Say, look, we know this is wrong. We know this is messed up. We're working to make it better. Just bear with us because of X, Y, Z. You know? And so let me move on. I think that the PvP environment right now is just flawed as a whole. They need to somehow balance the environment, whether that's through Hefe's plan of modifying how the turrets work with short and long range and the amount of damage done over time, or creating unique tactical modules, or releasing more tech in a tighter time span so that everything can achieve a balance, instead of here's the tech for base defense, now you can't hit for a month, here's the tech for hitting, everyone's flat for a month. You have to make it balanced, dynamic, and sustainable, because right now the way that they're releasing tech and the way that the swings of the game are going, it's not sustainable. You're going to be losing players, and you're not going to have a game if you continue in this fashion.
Yeah, it's the way they release, and it's one major design flaw. In my mind, the whole tier bonus is a major design flaw. No matter how you release it, a single bonus, which is like a single line in the whole list of stats of the turret, it's a single line that makes or breaks the entire group of turrets. Either they're great or they're useless, and it doesn't matter. Like, again, the turrets have no merit on their own. That to me is a major design flaw. And then the way they're releasing it's another flaw.
I also disagree with, personally, and, you know, other people even in my alliance don't agree with this, but I think if a turret is killed, that bonus should drop off from the turret. It shouldn't be no matter what you kill in the base. It's sort of like the gates. It's why I've always hated the sub gate, or whatever that other retarded gate they made was. If the gate is dead, it shouldn't function anymore. I blew it up. I destroyed it. It shouldn't be there. If a turret is killed, you should lose that bonus. It's sort of like fire supports. At least with fire supports, if somebody had a really hard base, you could go in and say, all right, well, how can I get rid of a few fire supports with splash or one ship that makes it to the back, and weaken the base up so that I can actually hit it. Now it doesn't matter what you do. I could kill someone's whole base except for one turret and the fire supports, and they would still destroy the fleets that I currently have. And then moving on to the fleets that I currently have, I have 10 ships that are useless. And so in Bounty, they're going to release another ship that actually makes the game playable again. So great, now I have to build 5 more ships. I don't even mind that. But it'd be awesome if I could still use all my ships in some capacity to hit a base. That would create a lot of diversity in the game. And for me as a hitter and a defender, I would enjoy that a lot more than, well, I know what's coming and this is all I have to hit with.
And that was their intention. I know when Raken explained his whole plan 6 months ago, that was the plan. Something went wrong, like badly wrong. I have no idea where. but we're seeing the symptoms right now.
Wouldn't it be fun to know that your strategy is the reason people couldn't get in the base, other than OP turrets and where you placed them?
But how would you fix it? How would you fix that problem that you just mentioned? That
Which one?
You have to, the one where you have to build another 5 ships and the other 10 are useless. And how would you tell them to fix it that they could do that without?
I think that tactical auras that add deflection could come into play. So then you're going to lose damage, yes, but you're going to have a stronger ship, or a ship that can withstand the turrets. And then that way you can utilize all your ships. I liked the game better when we had, okay, I've got like 8 or 9 ships that I've got to be aware of and build my base to combat. Not just one at a time. It's either a rush fleet, or you've got a fleet with a big splash mort backing. That's all you've got in the game. And that's all we had in the game for the last 6 months is those 2 types. That's it.
If you ask me, the whole PvP has been broken since fire support came out, because it creates this extraneous factor where, and I mean, if the buff was 2-3% and you stack 5, 6, 7, 8 auras giving 2-3% each, that's controllable. But the moment now you can stack 5, 6, 7 before, now it's 5, and it doubles the damage a turret does. Or specials like EM Rail 3, where now all it matters, they have to design for the crit hit, because the crit hit's 4 times the normal hit.
Yeah.
This kind of crazy swing. I mean, the turrets before, you go back when Victory Mortars and Javelins and those, the turret was the turret. You place the turret in there, you put a few specials, that special will give you a known quantity of bonus, and that's it. And then you can build for that and build against that. But now if you look at all the swings, because of all these auras and bonuses, it makes design crazy. For I don't think with all these auras that they can find a way out, or we can find a way around, to be honest.
So do you think it'd be better if we just got all the toys at once and go from there, or?
No, I mean, I'm not sure what you thought about, Ren, my idea that not all these stacking bonuses would be damage related. There might be different.
I saw your table. It's a very interesting concept. It's much better than just focusing on damage, and then you get this. And the other problem is the way it is. At first, we didn't see that, but deflection kind of creates a boring game, because deflection, it's black or white. Either you're over the deflection or you're not.
Yeah.
Right? When you look at PvE, PvE is resistance-based, and resistance-based, it's a lot more interesting, because you may have 98% resistance, but okay, 2% of X will get through. Now, X can be 1,000, 100,000, or 1,000,000, but 2% are getting through, so it's a progression. The damage you're going to take, it's a linear progression based on the raw damage being dealt. And with deflection, it's not like that. It can be 1,000, 100,000, 1,000,000. It's either going to be a big value, or it's going to be 360.
And they tried to combat that with the large, like with the T7 hulls, by giving them 2.5 million points, so that the pass through on the hull would work like that, where you're slowly losing your ship. But they haven't done the math properly with some of these turrets, to where it's just chipping away at the ship like it should.
Yeah, and so it goes back to the tier bonus. The tier bonus broke it.
I agree.
Because now it's like, if I have 3 Howies, it's useless. Oh, if I have 4 Howies and 2 blunderbusses, even though the blunderbusses themselves do nothing, now my Howies will kill your fleet in 5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I tried to make some of the bonus.
It's not an intrinsic property of the Howie. It's the group bonus, and it breaks everything.
Yeah, that's why I tried to create the group bonus being something besides damage that overcomes deflection.
Yeah,
Because
and I like
that
I like
appears to
that.
be the biggest broken mechanic in my mind.
Yep. You know, there should be value if a player scores 10,000 points in bounty, which is not easy, okay, for a lot of players, and they redeem that for a howitzer cannon. That turret should give them value. It shouldn't be, oh, now you gotta get 3 more and 2 blunders so it works.
Yeah. And also the range thing. I mean, does it make sense that the range of these turrets doesn't? It only matters marginally. It doesn't matter a huge amount what the range is. Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know, the fact that there's only like a 10 or 15% difference between a short range ballistic turret versus a long range ballistic turret. And I feel that's also a broken mechanic in the game.
But I don't know who said it before with the turrets once, you know, or the gates. If it's dead, it's dead. It shouldn't work. That would help a lot. Once you killed something, and you know, you might as well not kill it and it keeps shooting. It's the same thing. Once you kill a gate, or once you shoot a turret, whatever bonuses or buffs or whatever it had should go away once it's dead. I think that'll be the way to go.
But I think it would also have to have everything would have to have a rebalancing of the damages that they do at the same time.
Well, yeah, they need to do that because the game's broken. I mean, that goes without saying. They've got to fix it.
We know how they listen. They will hear that one point and they'll go, okay, we can do that. And then the next thing you know, someone comes up, they take out one of your turrets, and now all of your turrets that you worked hard to get are worthless.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So just want to put that out there.
That was the same way with fire support, too. I mean, that was the point, is you've got to strategically design it so they can't get to those turrets without going through a lot of other stuff.
Well, so what they've done is they've replaced fire supports with
an even worse mechanic.
Yeah, the bonus that stays around after you kill it. Oh, okay, thanks.
Well, I think part of that's going to change too once we get more turrets from different damage types, because you know, we're starting to run out of basically turrets to put stuff on, or at least I am. So then you're going to have to start making choices. You know, do I want to go with this damage type or this damage type?
But still, if you got 8 of one, it's still going to kill you. It's, you know.
Well, it depends on what the next ship has.
Yeah, but the problem is, it's not. If they all work at long range, it still doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it may make sense to other people, but if they all work at long range.
Don't forget, there's one thing that nobody's really thought about that they've expressed, but they talked about coming up with, quote unquote, a turret locker, to where, or a platform, or whatever you want to call it, that now instead of having to break something down, you can put it in storage and then bring it back out. So now think about how fast it's going to be able to change back. So all of a sudden your 8 Howies aren't getting through, but your 8 MC2s, or excuse me, EX2s will get through. Now you change your base because you pull them in a locker, and there's no 10-day or 13-day rebuilding effect.
Okay, now I thought about all this when GDR was mentioning that. Now, if we can do that, so that means if you put something in your locker, right? So we've got 24 turrets at the moment, or is it 22? Well, it doesn't matter. Let's just say we've got 20. You take these 8 turrets and put them in your locker, then you're missing 8 turrets.
Right now,
are we going to get more turrets? Can we build 50 turrets and have 20 sitting in the locker where we can just swap out as we need them?
How many do you need? Right now, all you need is your Howies.
But then we don't need a locker.
Nah, you need the other turrets for bubble pad. If you remove the other turrets from the game, you have no bubble pad left.
Yeah, right. It takes a lot of turrets.
So we need to be able to build 30 turrets and have only 20 in the base, so that we can have 10 in the swap. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is I see it as a dangerous mechanic coming into the game as well. I really do. Although I like it because you don't have to spend all the time building it. Yeah. Somebody goes out, they bring in a fleet that's immune to the Howies. You change your base up, then they go out and get their fleet that's immune to that. Then you change your base up, and then they become, it's a mess.
You know, they need to have a look at what the game was like a few years back and learn lessons from that. That's what I think. And simplify things. They're taking one difficult part of it away and replacing it with another difficult part. And that just doesn't work. They're just going to, I mean, it doesn't work now. And the more stuff they take away and then add it again in a different way, it's just going to make it even more unplayable. And for new players, or even, I mean, I've got some of the stuff, I've got no idea what's going on. Why does this work? Why doesn't that work? No idea. Because no one knows what's going on. And it's all too difficult. There's too many numbers. There's too many possibilities. We don't know whether it's multiplicative or additive. It's a big balls up at the minute.
Okay. Do everything that's still, good for the live show. Oh, okay.
Crickets.
Should we end the show at this point in time and end the live show? And I posted the link for the after show in case anybody would like to join us. And I guess we'll see everybody else Wednesday. So have a good night, everybody.
Who wants to PvP?
Yeah. Send out your cords. So all good. All righty. Yeah, see everybody on Wednesday, and thanks everybody for showing up. And we'll see you soon.